President Trump threatening to move this summer's Republican National Convention from Charlotte, North Carolina to who knows where, unless Democratic Governor Roy Cooper immediately says whether he will allow attendees to completely fill the arena. The president tweeting, quote, "If not, we will be reluctantly forced to find, with all the jobs and economic development it brings, another Republican National Convention site. This is not something I want to do." Governor Cooper says data and science will guide his decision on whether the state can hold large gatherings like the convention that is supposed to take place toward the end of August. Dr. Saphier, I want to start with you. Let's run a hypothetical. Let's pretend that you are the medical advisor to the Republican National Committee. What would you tell them, bottom line it, medically, about having potentially 50,000 attendees for the convention in August? What do you say?
Well, Kennedy, I mean, it's extremely complicated. We're talking about several months from now, but I'll tell you, yesterday, North Carolina just reported their highest single-day increase to date. So therefore, they're still seeing rising cases. And, if they're following that White House blueprint that was put forth by the experts, then they're not ready to say that they're going to be able to accommodate 50,000 people in indoor settings come end of August. That being said, we're still several months away from that. So are there ways to smartly do things so that they can have it there? Absolutely. But they have to be creative. We can't just go back to the business of usual. We're going to pack everyone in like a herd of cows and then potentially be transmitting this, because then you have school starting. If they have this massive rise of cases just at the end of August, then all of a sudden the fall school year is going to be completely disrupted. And if our goal is to try and get children back to school, that's not smart. But moving it somewhere else isn't necessarily the right answer either. So let's just put our minds together and come up with some ways on how we can do this. Have a lot more outdoor events. If you're going to be inside, maybe people do need to be wearing face masks. Maybe there will be increased testing. I mean, I'm not sure. There are a lot of variables. There are smart ways to do this to decrease the risk of transmission. But the bottom line is, putting a lot of people in a small area is definitely not good for us right now. It's not for our long-term goal with COVID-19.
You're right. So much is shifting, and the timeline keeps shifting. So it seems like we're close to opening. And, the end of August seems like it's really far away, but they got to make some of these decisions. So, Joey, let's say you are advising the president and the RNC. If not North Carolina, then where? It's got to be a swing state.
Well, and I think that's the problem. This is a political thing that's getting in the way of a medical and scientific thing, right? I am a bit confused at President Trump's manner towards this, because, like the doctor said, it kind of contradicts, or at least goes up against, the White House's own rules and kind of guidelines. But with that being said, politics takes all, especially in an election year. That's just the truth of the world we live in. They're pretty cozy with my Governor Kemp. I know that Arthur Blank would probably open up Mercedes-Benz Stadium responsibly for something like this, or perhaps they go down to Florida, President's new home state. They seem to be doing very well with the virus. I think it makes sense to go to a state that's either trending down or going way down. Texas might be that state. It's not a swing state or a place to gain a lot of ground with the convention, but I think it makes a lot of sense to go somewhere where the numbers favor large crowds or the risk of large crowds.
But
and I think that would be consistent with everything the White House has said.
Cases.
They're having increasing cases. They're also increasing testing.
North Carolina this week is only beginning its second phase of reopening. Some restaurants, some hair salons, very limited. There is no accommodation for something where 50,000 people could come together and socially distance right now.
All right. Well, we're writing the rules in the moment, and so much is going to change. We don't know where it's going to end up.
Absolutely.
It makes it exciting, but incredibly unpredictable. Well, it is a Memorial Day holiday, unlike any we've ever seen before.